Hi, my name is Kevin Snyder of Snyder Law, and I'm an estate planning and elder law planning attorney here in Irvine. And me and my team work with families to help them plan to protect what matters most to them, their loved ones, their legacy, and their dignity. And today I'd like to talk to you about protecting your family and your assets by planning ahead for the possibility of disability. Why do I want to talk to you about that? Because we often see when working with clients here in Orange County that people are concerned about getting older and retirement and what happens to their assets after they die. But oftentimes they're not considering what can happen to them, their loved ones, and their assets if they become disabled. And a disability can be a huge financial drain and emotional drain for their family. And there's a number of things that you can do to help prevent that or alleviate that. And to be clear, when I'm talking about disability, I'm not just talking about things happening to us as we age and some age-related disabilities like dementia. Oh, and by the way, of course, you don't have to be older in order to be diagnosed with dementia or suffer from dementia. There could be early onset of dementia, or it could be a mental health illness. But it could also be physical disabilities that could be very impactful to you and your life and your family. That can come from a car accident. That can come from falling down a flight of stairs. It actually happened to a client of ours and left them with a traumatic brain injury. So there's a lot of things that can happen to us on a road of life. We can step into these potholes. It's not always going to be death. It could be disability. And we need to be planned well in advance in order to deal with the fallout of that. So here are some things that I advise clients, prospective clients on often in order to help prevent the negative fallout from an unanticipated disability. Number one thing to look at is insurance. There's disability insurance and there's long-term care insurance. Disability insurance will help supplement for periods of time lost income in order to support you financially. Long-term care policies will help pay help you pay for care that you're going to need, non-medical care if you have certain disabilities. Things to think about in that regard, of course, is number one, talk to a professional that in that field of insurance, an insurance professional that can help explain the different types of policies and how they might work for you and what might work well. But some things to think about when you're having that conversation are, what are the costs, the medical costs that I might expect in a given disability? What's the lost income to my family? Am I the breadwinner? Or if I'm not the breadwinner, what sort of income earner am I? And what's the impact going to be to my family if that income's not coming in? How are we going to cover medical expenses or just our normal monthly expenses? Are there going to be additional expenses maybe to retrofit our house in order to accommodate our needs, or I'm going to have to purchase a transportation vehicle? How do these policies actually work? How do they pay out? Is there going to be a wait period for them so I can plan well in advance for that, so I can have a savings to cover that time period that I have to wait? Or am I going to have to supply receipts in order to get reimbursed from the insurance, or do they pay out on a daily rate or in a different way? And are they going to scrutinize the choices that I'm going to need to make for the types of care that I'm going to need? So those are the things you're going to want to talk about with the insurance expert in order to best plan from an insurance side of things for the possibility of disability. But in addition to some financial protections for you, your loved one, and your assets, if you're 65 years old or older, or you're blind or disabled, there are some government benefits that are available to you to help provide some financial relief and help you pay for the financial cost of additional custodial care, because the care that you're going to have is not all going to be medical. We have health insurance that deals with medical costs. Whether that's Medicare or private insurance, will pay for some of that cost of that medical care, but they're not going to pay for ongoing long-term care to help you on a day-to-day basis as a result of your disability. You're going to have to pay out of pocket for that. But we want to pre-plan and be proactive even when we're not disabled, or there isn't a threat of being disabled, or there isn't a concern about being disabled, for the possibility of that disabling event occurring. And that's always going to give you the best amount of resources and options to protect you, your loved ones, and your assets. And now I want to talk about, instead of financial considerations, some legal considerations, because there's some protections you're going to want to put in place. A legal lineup of, that I call it, of people that are going to be able to be your decision makers in an event of a disabling moment where there are cognitive issues at play. It's not just physical, but it's cognitive, and you can't make decisions for yourself anymore. who are the people going to be that make those decisions. You may have had these conversations with your spouse or your family members about who you would want or what they would you would want them to do, and there's this quote-unquote understanding, but will that play out legally? Are they going to run into roadblocks with financial institutions or medical providers because they don't have the proper legal documentation in place that gives them the legal authority to make those decisions? There is no inherent authority because you're related to somebody or you're married to somebody or you're somebody's parent or child that gives you the ability to make those decisions. You need to actually have legal authority. So you can either set that up in advance or you can wait until after the disabling event and allow a court to step in and make those appointments. Of course, in that situation, it's burdensome, time-consuming, and going to be expensive for your family to go through. And in the end of the day, a court might appoint somebody that you wouldn't have chosen to be the person to make decisions for yourself. So a better result would be to plan and be proactive in advance to getting those things set up. We often call them quote-unquote powers of attorney. And when I hear that, of course I want to clarify what those are because legally speaking there's a number of different types of these powers of attorney. There's legal financial power of attorney that we call a durable power of attorney. There's medical powers of attorney that in California we call advanced healthcare directives. And then there are powers under a trust that trustees have if you have a trust set up. And if you own a home or you have assets that are over $150,000 in fair market value here in California, in order to avoid probate, you're going to want to have a trust set up. So that's going to be helpful for you in the event of your disability because your lineup of trustees behind you will be able to make decisions regarding your trust assets. And you want to be clear on that because what's the alternative? As I mentioned, going to court and having the probate court get involved in what's called a conservatorship or guardianship in order to appoint somebody to make decisions on your behalf. And we want to avoid that. And lastly, with an advanced healthcare directive, what would be really helpful to alleviate the emotional and sometimes even financial drain over a disability, particularly a cognitive one, is to nominate, not just nominate your healthcare agents, the people that make medical decisions for you, but to leave them with specific instructions or wishes in what's often known as a living will. It's incorporated in our advanced healthcare directives here in California, and some people have heard this as the 5 wishes. That's a really great program that helps walk you through a discernment process over how you want things to go in certain circumstances, if it has to do with medical treatment or end-of-life decisions or post-death decisions. We want to leave those wishes with our agents in legal documents so they can be recognized and they can be clear. And so there's not any infighting amongst your family, those people that believe they know you best, what your wishes would have been. You're not being unclear on that, so no one is guessing or second-guessing themselves or others. They're able to follow your wishes, and in a stressful and emotional situation, at least there's some harmony in that. So we've unpacked it a lot here today. There's a lot to talk about in planning ahead of time to protect against the possibility of disability. If you have any questions about what we talked about, please reach out. We're happy to have a conversation with you. You can call our office, 949-333-3702. And schedule some time to talk to one of us here, or you can go to www.asksnyderlaw.com. You'll see the link right below me, and you can go on and pull off some time off our calendar to speak with one of us to help answer your questions. Happy to do that. And of course, you can also just put them here in the feed in the comments, and happy to address them too. Again, my name is Kevin Snyder of Snyder Law. I'm an estate planning, elder law planning attorney. Happy to spend this time with you, and hopefully it's been valuable. And that's the whole point of all of this. So go out, have an amazing week, and be proactive in your planning, everybody. Okay, take care.